I'm a game designer on World of Warcraft. I work on the game systems, including class design, class balance, legendary items.
And I'm Johnny Cash. I'm also a game designer on World of Warcraft, and I work on the content side of things. So I work on the quests, spawning the world, and the stories.
The main reason behind this change is to improve the pace of combat. In extreme cases, that means things were slowed down. But to talk more about that, the global cooldown was added to abilities, mostly cooldowns, a couple movement abilities, a few defensives, things like that. Because we think it's important that when you push a button, you use an ability, you use it meaningfully, and you intend to use it at that point. Previously, for example, if you were a warrior, you had many different DPS damage cooldowns that you could use at the same time. So instead of pushing Battle Cry and then Avatar and then Bloodbath one after the other in a row, players would often do things like make a macro. You make a macro to push all three buttons at the same time. I had the same macro myself, it just said damage. I didn't really use any of the three buttons by itself intentionally, they kind of just got grouped together. In many cases, they just felt like one button. And there's not really much meaning to having three different spells and abilities if you just use them all at the same time. Another benefit is slowing the pace of burst damage. In many cases, especially in PvP, the amount of burst damage you could do by pushing all your buttons at the same time, 2 or 3 damage buttons, 2 or 3 damage buffs plus a damage spell, was kind of too much for the game. We're always kind of looking for the best pacing of combat for players, not just in PvP, but also in PvE, when you're leveling, doing quests, doing dungeon or raid. There's just a good pace of combat that feels like you're playing an RPG, leveling character, fighting a monster, giving them time to attack you, and you attack them back. When buttons take, that 1.5 second global cooldown to use, combat feels more meaningful overall. And we know a lot of players are maybe happy about this, but we're trying to be really careful about this and think it's a better direction for the game overall.
So one of the really interesting challenges as we continue to develop the game's story and continue to bring in all these interesting characters and work with them, right, is that as we're looking at a given story arc and we're trying to see what is the coolest possible version of this, we have to consider the number of characters involved and try to make it feel like a cohesive experience. And so for certain pieces, for a given story, that means having to make hard choices. And so that means that, in one circumstance we might focus on a Pandaren, and in another case we might kind of want more of a Draenei or a Night Elf thing going on. And so by no means is it that we've forgotten about the Pandaren or anything like that. I think the Pandaren are super awesome and they have a lot to offer to the World of Warcraft story. It's just a matter of trying to find, as the story is unfolding and as we're trying to tell it and share it with players, who is the right character in this moment to share that story with people. And so, in some of the early parts of Battle for Azeroth, we're a little bit more focused on what are the Forsaken and say the Orcs or the Trolls up to, because you're going to Zandalar, or what are the Night Elves up to, because Tel'Urzul's burning. And so we try to focus in on who is most relevant to this current story. But the Pandaren are a great race, and I really like the characters. G and Asa are super interesting characters, and we have somewhat more neutral ones like Chen or Terranzu. They all have a place in Azeroth. It's just trying to find the right moment and the right story for them.
I think it would take a monumental reason for one of the races in our game to switch factions, right? It's a pretty big decision. They've been allied with several other races on a faction for many years now. And a decision to change factions entirely wouldn't be done so lightly. We're always looking for interesting things to add to the story, take the story wherever it goes, but it's nothing right now. He was ready to die in the glory of battle, not surrender. Saurfang would never give up and surrender. But yeah, like you said, people of the Horde, including Saurfang, at the cinematic, he wasn't very happy with some of the decisions being made by the leaders. That's something that happens. Your leaders may do things that you don't agree with, but there may be other people in your faction that you do agree with, that you can rally behind, and stories change, people change. That's kind of the actual natural design of the system. With the introduction of the war mode, you can roll PvP, choose to roll PvP anywhere out in the world. The bounty system allows a player who's gotten, I think it's 10 kills in a row without dying to become a bounty. The game is kind of saying, hey, you're a big, strong guy. You've killed 10 people without dying. It's time to tip the scales and kind of balance things out a little bit. I think you're going to find that if you're a bounty target, because you've killed so many players in a row, you're going to have a very hard time surviving for very long.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of big groups of players go out and kill bounty targets, and that's just kind of how it works. On the other side, I've heard stories of a group of players, I think 2 players in a party, found a bounty target out on the map. They went over, and then from actually behind the trees came out like 30 people of that faction defending that bounty target.
Wow.
So the cool thing about all the world PvP features we're adding, like war mode and bounty system, is getting people out in the world to fight your enemies, the opposite faction, will give people a reason to just experience world PvP in the way maybe they never had before. This kind of organic experience of world PvP, hunting, defending, bounty target, it's just new things for you to try out.
Neither of us is an engineer, so we can't really speak to kind of the engine side of things, right? But to cover kind of the other part of your question there, we're always trying to make WoW better. Anytime we make a new model and that model is something that exists elsewhere as well, right? We look at that as an opportunity to make the entire world work better. And so we're always trying to do everything we can to make intelligent choices that let the entire world of Azeroth grow, whether that's graphically or story-wise or gameplay-wise, right? And on occasion, that means we do have to raise the requirements of the game, but we try, and there's a whole team of people who work extremely hard to make sure that we keep that as reasonable as possible. We only raise it when we really need to, because one of WoW's greatest strengths, truly, is that people with very older machines and older graphics cards can still play and enjoy the game. That's not something we intend to change.
I can tell you that while I'm not an engineer, I'm part of a greater team, including engineers, that works on performance. We put a lot of time into making sure the performance of the game, the engine, is as smooth as possible, optimized, so that the game can run well on lower end machines, lower spec machines, and that we don't have to increase the minimum specs as often. We have a really talented team of technical artists, engineers, and the like, who, while our game looks good in game, we try to make sure that it's as cheap to run as possible.
We're always looking at what is the best, most appropriate choice for what we're doing, right? And so the Kulturans and the Zandalari are an easy example of we're setting out at the start of Battle for Azeroth, and we want to recruit these 2 naval powers to our side because they'd be really useful to the war effort. And so as players are leveling in Kultiras and Zandalar, they're getting to know these 2 races and they're getting to prove themselves to them and prove their faction's worth to them, right? And that it just feels natural at that point as to eventually then, surely they will in fact be won over and join the side, and so therefore make a great allied race. And that's kind of epitomizes our approach with any race that we're trying to add to the game as a potential ally. And from there, trying to filter that down. Who would make a good candidate for an allied race? We're always looking first and foremost who feels relevant and who would be cool to play as. Because I think the Zandalari trolls is kind of more upright, golden version of a troll, right? It's kind of a cool, different approach, and we want to do as much of that as we can. But it's always case by case. Something you say, that varies too, right? Like the Void Elves that are from 735, those were something that we hadn't seen before in Azeroth. So it's really a mix. The Void Elves were a great opportunity of, we're doing this really cool story arc with Valeria Windrunner and all this wood stuff, and we think that's really interesting. And what if there were others? What if she kind of showed others that path? And so we try to, one of the core pillars of allied races is that there isn't a one-size-fits-all approach to them. And that's in terms of how you unlock them and what they are and what their abilities are. We're just trying to go for cool.
We try to do a mix of giving players what they're asking for and surprising players. If you played Legion at the beginning, when players first encountered the Nightborn, a lot of players said, these guys look really cool. Their armor's cool, the whole look is cool. I want to play as them. We knew that. We consciously think about things like that when planning for the future. We obviously didn't announce it or talk about it for very long because we have to work on it, talk about the details.
WoW's greatest strength, right, is the incredible breadth of content available to players and the depth of all of that content, right, in each given area. In terms of like the longevity of WoW, just as strong as it's ever been, and we don't see that stopping anytime soon. We think WoW's going to enjoy a very long and healthy existence. Our focus is making Battle for Azeroth great. We think it's a great expansion. We're going to have great content that comes out along the way, along this journey that we're going to go on together. And that's what the whole team is focused on, is really just trying to make this the best expansion yet.
Hello Malaysia, we know a lot of you are very passionate about World of Warcraft and we're really happy to have you with us. We really hope you're ready for Battle for Azeroth when it launches on August 14th.
Thank you so much for being a part of the World of Warcraft community. I know that everyone in Malaysia is just as passionate about Azeroth as we are, and so we're really excited to share all the experiences that come with you, and we look forward to your feedback and to seeing your reactions to some of the stuff that's coming. We hope you enjoy it.
Thank you.
Hey guys, if you like our content, do like and follow our page. Also, select See First to get the latest game news and updates. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and select on the notify button to get notified to our latest gameplay trailers. Don't miss out!